Hello. First off, is the lighting super weird here? Yes. I forgot that the sun goes down at 3:30 now, and it's 4:15. So we're working with what we got, which is a little bit weird. Is my battery already dying? Why am I like this? First off, hello. If you're someone who's just like a regular subscriber to my channel, hi. I'm sorry this video is a little bit different. We are in the midst of Vlogmas, so if you were expecting a vlog and you got me sitting here like this with this weird lighting setup, I'm so sorry this may not be the video for you. But also, if you do just want to watch this, I will have timestamps in the description because I'm going to do a little bit of info about me, and if you've obviously been here before, then you know about me and you don't want to hear my whole story for the 15 millionth time. But I'm assuming if you're watching this, you probably saw this from Facebook or Discord or Instagram or something, and you're just watching this for the content. So if that's you, hi, hello. Feel free to subscribe if you want to. Like I said, I'm vlogging right now, but I do have a whole bunch of old videos. I'm gonna leave a couple playlists down in the description. I have vlogs from both of my programs and then a whole like information playlist that's just like info and stuff. First, I should probably tell you what this video is. So what I wanted to do, because as much as I love milking content for every single little drop it's worth, I do realize that some of us don't have like 8 hours a day to spend watching YouTube videos, so I thought I would try and put this into like a condensed video. It's probably still gonna be like 25 minutes, I know, but a little bit more of a condensed video. This video is gonna be things that I think that you should do like before, like application process, post-application process, pre-program, during your program, and after your Disney College program. I do want to preface this by saying that this is all my own opinions. None of this is official. So if you do all these tips and you don't get in, don't come for me. I'm a nobody. This is just my personal experience coming from someone that has done 2 college programs before. And this is my experience and how I've kept like good relationships with people and in like good graces with the company kind of as well. So this is all my own opinion. I'm not speaking for the company. I'm no one according to this company. So that's my start there. A little bit of info about me. This is where I said you can skip past if you already know me. Hi, I'm Lo. I've done 2 cultural exchange programs, which, not to go too deep into it because I don't even know if I have a video on what the difference is. I don't know. But a cultural exchange program is almost exactly the college program, except for it is 3 to 4 months. My first one was 3 months, my second one was 4 months. It's over the summer, but you do have to be a student and it's for international students, so I am a Canadian, but I've done 2 of them. It's pretty much the college program though. The only difference is you are a little bit limited in roles, so some of the roles like PhotoPass, what's the other one? I don't know if they do full service dining in college program, but I've never seen that. Custodial comes up like very rarely, but not a ton. And performer is super limited. They haven't offered performer since they opened post COVID from my understanding, but it is basically the Disney College program. So besides like visa stuff, if I say college program, cultural exchange program, they're basically interchangeable. They're like the same thing. The application process is a little bit different. I do have videos on my application process. Like I said, check out the links down below. The information playlist is like the big one. I have like some of my interviews filmed and stuff too in there. But yes, I've done 2 programs. My first one, I was in attractions. I was main entrance attractions, which is park reader ticketing and parking for the water park. So status at Typhoon, but I also worked at Blizzard Beach. And then my second program, I was status in Magic Kingdom and entertainment as a character attendant, but I worked pretty much everywhere because it's a universally trained role. I do still work with Disney in different facets. So I've worked for the company in merchandise and other roles before as well. So if you have questions like merch wise, it's not going to be the same, but I can try and help too, because now I've also worked in merchandise for them, just not in the theme parks. But that is kind of my life story if you didn't know it before. And I'm going to go into my advice. I'm already 4 minutes into this. Whew. Like I said, I split this up into applications before your program, during your program, and after your program. And it's not going to be super in-depth. There's definitely things that I'm forgetting, and I'm sure there'll be more videos coming out. Like I said, I wanted to make this as condensed as I possibly could. In terms of applications, I feel like people ask this all the time, and I definitely have way more in-depth videos about applications. I think there's like a few main things that I think everyone should do regardless of your experience, we go to school for anything. One is be yourself, but not in like a crazy way, if you know what I mean. At the end of the day, it is a job, and I find the people that are like really big Disney people kind of like lose sight of it, and sometimes you forget that you're a job and you want the company to want you. So as much as like I love Disney, I love throwing a personal anecdote in there about like good experiences with the company, with the parks, whatever, you still want to try and make it seem like they want you. Like focus more on your assets and what you're giving them than what you would be getting from the experience, you know? But as I just said that, I also think it's good to recognize what the program is, because as much as it is just a job, it is an exchange program. This is obviously not for a college program. This is international program specific. So I always add in something about how I want to learn other cultures, meet new people. If you've done any sort of exchanges beforehand, so I did an exchange in Japan as well as a Central American exchange when I was a little bit younger, so I include those as well. Basically to show that you're like a good, not advocate, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not spokesperson, but like you are a good person to come from your country, to show your country. You know what I mean? And then also be yourself. No one wants like just like a cookie cutter. People say like maybe they don't even read the cover letters, maybe they don't even read the resumes, maybe it's all a computer. No one really knows how the process works. I like to put a little bit of personality, a little bit of anecdotes in there if you can fit it. Because it kind of sets you apart from everyone else, because there's a lot of people applying for the program. My two last things for applications, one is use Disney language, which you can find a lot of this online. So things like guest versus customer, cast versus employee, things like guest service or guest relations over like assisting a customer. So like I came from hotel experience my second time, so it was like working in a, not, instead of saying like working in a customer service position, assisting customers, you could say like providing excellent guest experience, things like that. This is also not like a big company secret, because I did this before my first program, before I ever worked with a company. You can look up now the 5 keys, and the 5 keys are kind of like the pillars of the company. So I try to weave those in. So if I've worked in a position that was like safety critical or had anything that was safety wise, or I had additional first aid training, anything like that, I put that in there because safety is a really big thing for them. And then related to that, this is like an extra thing. You don't need to do this, but I did this, and this is kind of tailoring your experience to the role you want. So I'm not going to say that there's good roles and bad roles, but there's definitely roles that some people prefer, and there's definitely roles that people go into the program knowing they want that role. This is hard because we never actually know the roles that are available, and especially since COVID has happened, we don't really know how they tell you the roles. If you have to accept and then you get your role, no one really knows. But knowing the roles that are usually available, which again, this could change, it's usually merchandise, attractions, quick service, food and beverage. Those are like the main 3 that I think they pretty much always have. You can tailor it a little bit towards that. So if you know that you really want to do merchandise and you've worked in a hotel and that hotel sold food and merchandise, you can just not mention the food if you don't want to work in food and beverage, you know what I mean? Things like that. So I knew that I came from a really merchandise heavy experience. I have about 10 years in retail, and even more at this point. And I did have merchandise as my second choice for both of my programs, but I did get my first choice both times. So attractions was my first choice the first time, and attendant was my first choice the second time. But I did always have merchandise in my top 3, but I think the way that I set up my resume and my cover letter and the way that I spoke about it in interviews definitely kind of moved me towards the role that I wanted. So I focused more on guest experience and how I had worked with people from all over the world and worked with everyone from elderly people down to children. I've worked in safety critical positions. I have my occupational first aid, things like that I think led more towards attractions. And then with character attendant, I talked more about how I worked in events and organizing things like that. I know it's a more independent role. Sometimes you are literally just working with yourself and your performer, and your leaders are definitely not as present. So I focused on how I do work as a team, but I've also worked a lot independently, things like that. You know what I mean? Or if you really want to work in food and beverage, because there's definitely people that do want to work in food and beverage, you can super lean into food and beverage. You like a fast-paced environment. If you've done things like your food safe course, things like that, you can add that in there. So I hope that makes sense, but you can kind of like gear it a little bit, but that's just like me being extra. You don't need to do that, obviously. So you got in, you've gotten your offer. Now we're at the before stage, before your program, post your interview. This is things that I think that you should do. This is like, that sounds really obnoxious to me. Things that I think you should do, but things that I think would assist you in a sense before you get in your program. Number one, oh my gosh, be nice. Be friendly to everyone. There's one thing that I learned: you never know who you're gonna connect with. I did link up with people for both of my programs for roommates, but I have pretty much always ended up being better friends with the people that I didn't link with than the people that I did. So even in my first program, the girl that I did link with was not the person that I was originally linking with, and me and her ended up being the closest out of everyone. Like in our apartment, there were 6 of us, you know? I do say make friends with everyone. I think it's really easy to end up in like these teeny little groups where there's like, oh, 6 of us are definitely gonna live together, which like, I don't even know how Flamingo Crossing is now, and still is great in theory, but sometimes they let you link with 0 people for housing, sometimes they let you link with 1 person. It really just depends on what they have available in the housing complex, so don't get your hopes up with that. That's another tip I didn't even have like written down or prepared. Get no hopes. No hopes with linking in housing. As much as it's like easy to kind of like zoom in on like 1 or 2 little people, I find just like be friendly with everyone, go into the groups that you can find, chat with everyone, ask everyone questions. If you see someone's put up a post and they're looking for, you know, someone to do a meetup, a lot of people do meetups in like the bigger cities, like the Toronto area usually tends to be the one that does it. Like, go do that. Just make friends with everyone, be nice to everyone. You never know who you're gonna stumble upon being your best friend. Like, I was randomly put in an apartment with Jamie and Taylor and Kaylee and Casey, and I still talk to them this day, and my program's been over for 3.5 years. So you just never know. I hadn't talked to them once before I moved in with them. So just be nice to everyone and just like try and be involved with everyone, you know? 2, go in with an open mind when it comes to locations, roles, all that. I am definitely guilty of not doing this. If you were friends with me in 2018, golly gee, you saw me and my full-blown mental breakdown when I got given Typhoon. I was so excited. Attractions was my dream mall. It was my first time going to Disney World. I was like so pumped, and then I was given Typhoon and I was like, I literally don't know what Typhoon Lagoon is, and I like had to like Google what it was, and it wasn't in the parks, and I was distraught about it. And then on top of that, I was like, I'll be a park greeter, fine. And then I went to Traditions and I was given my schedule, and I honestly worked probably like 60% parking, 40% other things, and I was like distraught about parking, and ended up being like one of my favorite things. I love parking, I love having a small team, I loved being at Typhoon, so it's something that people don't think about, and I think people like really freak out about it. It's really easy to get upset when you think you have like a crappy location, or like I know there's like certain merchandise locations that have really bad like reputations that come with them because some people just don't really like them. But I say keep an open mind. You never know what you're going to stumble upon. You never know what other CPs are going to be there. When I was at Typhoon, one of the girls who was on a CP there moved across the country, and I've still kind of kept in touch with her. We still like follow each other on Instagram and chat every once in a while. So you literally never know. So keep an open mind when it comes to your role and your location. Even if you're like, this was my bottom choice for the role, you never know. Maybe you'll have a job that, I mean, as much as this is like also a double-edged sword, maybe you'll have a job that only gives you 28 hours a week and you have tons of time to see the parks. So at the end of the day, it's only 3 months. Take a deep breath. Message me and I can talk you off a cliff, because I have been there and I get it, but try to keep an open mind. Lastly, before, is take time to look things up and mentally prepare yourself for what you're getting into. This, I think YouTube is a really, really good option for. I'm not just saying this because I have YouTube, but like obviously, hi, subscribe to me please. But you can find lots of people with channels. You can look up Disney College Program, you can look up Cultural Exchange Program. The first person who comes off the top of my mind is Jenn'a, so I'll have her channel linked below. Caitlyn is College Program and International Program, but she had a lot of videos, so I'll link her down below as well. But you can find lots of people on YouTube, and it kind of can set up your expectations a little bit more for what you're going to be getting into. I think people kind of go in and they see like 1 or 2 college program vloggers that are putting out like 2 videos a week. Like they seem like they have so much free time, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have a job. Like my first location, I was working 50 hours a week pretty regularly throughout the whole summer. So you never know. I think go into it knowing, you know, I'm gonna have between 28 and 50 hours every week. I may leave with $0 in my bank account. I may leave with a lot of savings if you don't spend your money on doing things in your time off, or you're just really good at saving money, you know, or you live somewhere a little bit cheaper and you work more hours. So just mentally set yourself up for that, because I think sometimes people go in with like this rose-colored glasses vibe around working for the company and they forget about the work part, you know? I think I'm a little bit more of a realist now with my most recent role, but before I was a little bit like this too. I just had to pause my camera and take a drink because I've been talking so fast and so much to try and get this like under 25 minutes that I'm like, you know? We've moved on to during your program. You've made it. You're in Florida. You're living in Flamingo Crossing. You're absolutely thriving. You love or hate your location and your role. No one knows, but it's fine because we've gotten over that. We've accepted it's only for 3 months and you'll be okay. We're at the during your program part here, okay? This is similar to before. Just be open to everyone. If someone is friendly with you, go along with it. If someone puts it on the Facebook group, say I'm looking for people to hang out and you're free that day and you've never met them, give them a shot. Worst case scenario, if you two don't vibe, you never have to hang out again. But I say be nice to everyone, be friends with everyone. You never know who you're gonna mesh with. Like I said before earlier, people that I didn't think were gonna be my really good friends ended up being my closest friends. So don't just stick in your little groups. Again, I think it's really easy to stay with, you know, just the Canadians. Don't do that. Some of my really, really good friends are Americans from my programs. They're people that I worked with, people that I lived with, people that I didn't even talk to during the programs, and then we just ended up being friends of friends afterwards. I've traveled across the country to see people. I've met up with people in Florida when I just happened to be there, so we'll talk more about that in the after, but during, just be open to every sort of situation, to every sort of person, because you never know who you're gonna vibe with, you never know who you're gonna like, you just never know. And also, like, why would you not be nice to people when you may not see them ever again, but you also may see them every single day at work? You know what I mean? This sounds really narrow because this isn't always the option, but let me elaborate, and that is explore different locations. There is some roles that are universally trained. The big one right now is probably merchandise. Merchandise, besides a few locations, are, you know, universally trained locations. You can switch around a lot, but there is, again, I don't know what is happening post-COVID, so correct me if I'm wrong, but at least before there was options to do different things like pack. I would pick up pack a lot my first program. I was attractions and I was main entrance attractions instead of specifically a park greeter, and because of that we weren't trained to work in the theme parks, so I was trained as a park greeter, and I did pick up at Blizzard Beach and Disney Springs, things like that that I could pick up in, scheduled at ESPN, like those were kind of in a bubble, but I couldn't pick up at Magic Kingdom Studios, things like that. So I would always try and pick up pack as a way to meet new people, have new experiences. It's cool to like add onto your resume too afterwards that you've done something a little bit different, and worked with different product, different people, different environments. Also, most of you, I'm not sure what the dates are yet, but most of you will overlap with Halloween, I believe. Halloween starts super, super early. It was like August 3rd or August 9th or something this last year. So I was really lucky in 2019. I did work 2 of the Halloween parties, like in my actual job as an attendant. But the year before, we didn't overlap with Halloween. I wish we did. If we did, you could have picked up like treat trails, which is essentially kind of like pack vibes, you know? So keep an eye out for those. If you can pick up at different locations, definitely do, especially if you don't work at like Magic Kingdom and you want to work at Magic Kingdom, maybe there's a shot, you know? You never know what'll come up. So always explore to see what's around, but in the same note, also like, this is a me thing. I think it's nice to like kind of have a home base still. I would pick up different places when I was an attendant, but there was like a few even within Magic Kingdom that I loved. Like I would switch to stay in like, I'd say probably like 3 or 4 main locations. I think I have a video on like my favorite locations to work as a character attendant too, honestly. But it's nice to kind of like know the people that you work with. It gives you a chance to really bond with them. Like working in Crystal Palace, a lot of them were full-timers that were status, so I really, you know, got to know people there and connect with people. So as much as I say like switch around, try new locations, it's also nice to kind of like, don't do that all the time, because you also kind of want to like the people that you're status with, you know? I have 2 more for during. 1, trying to get in some sort of routine. I know this is like kind of hard when you're running around and your hours are all over the place, but this is something that like will save you. If you're someone who goes to the gym at home, maybe keep going to the gym there. If you're someone who cooks a lot, try to keep cooking your meals. Like, it sounds ridiculous because it is hard, I understand that, but I started to get super, super worn down when I was doing way too much, and I was, you know, picking up 3 hours of pack here after this shift, but then also spending 12 hours in the park on my day off, and then also going to go see the fireworks when I was off at 3 one day. Like, as much as you want to do everything, try and relax a little bit and let your body breathe. Enjoy it, but also don't burn yourself out so you like get sick and you're dying, because I feel like the worse you feel, the worse you're going to be at work and the more you resent your job, especially if you're in a role in a location where you like don't necessarily vibe with it to begin with, you know? Lastly, this kind of depends on what your goal is. So I went into my programs not caring about money. I wanted zero money when home. I didn't care. I stayed at the Polynesian and Animal Kingdom Lodge on my first program. My second program, I was like, I'll do whatever, I don't even care. I stayed at French Quarter for 9 nights, got stuck in a hurricane. That was a whole thing. But I say spend money on experiences and less on things, because a lot of those things don't make as much sense when you go home. I own a lot of Disney things you can literally see in the background, like giant pinboard, massive Winnie the Pooh. I don't think you can see anything else, but like this is all Disney stuff. I have like a resort mug, a magic band, more pins up here. Like I own a lot of things. This is maybe my only non-Disney clothing item, and it says Alaska. I'm wearing a Disney Cruise Line necklace. I have Disney, like I'm just a Disney girl, okay? I get it, I understand. I'm someone who spends a lot of money on merch, but one, be aware of what you need to bring home. So try not to overpack to begin with. And two, think of how much you'll actually use it at home. So if you're someone who like loves a mug like this, we justified her. Also like hee hee, spoiler alert for where I work. We justified her because I use it literally every day for my makeup brushes. But some things are just like absolutely ridiculous and I never use, and I'm like, why do I have them? Like I wish I could show you my collection of wishables. Don't get me wrong, I love them to death. But now that I don't have a car, they don't hang from my rearview mirror, like what do I do with them? Think of what you buy, especially if you're trying to save money. And I would say if you can, spend money on experiences, not things. So there's always gonna be random things that pop up. Usually there's really good deals on hotels. Like right now they're running some deals for the spring that are pretty good. Sometimes you can go to different events, Halloween parties, after hours events, stuff like that. I personally would rather save my money for things like that, especially because you never know when they're gonna pop up. Sometimes it's literally like the day before. Like we went to Villains After Hours in 2019 and we booked it like the day of. Like I'm wearing a Canada Day temporary tattoo because it was on Canada Day. We bought the tickets that day. So just be aware of how much money you are spending and what you can take home. So if you can buy things when you're there for cheap through buy and sell pages, people are always moving out. If you can do that, because you don't need to buy all new bedding and all new pots and pans and all new everything for 3 months. I'm going to run out of space on my camera, so really quickly we're gonna do after. Number one is stay in touch with people. This is so much fun. I get this from working on the ships as well. I was literally just in Europe visiting friends that I work with there, but you'll meet people from all over the world during this program. You'll also meet Americans, you'll meet a bunch of Canadians. It's so much fun to visit people afterwards. We haven't done it since COVID, but Vlogmas, I don't know, 2 years ago I guess now. You can find videos. I went to Banff and met up with friends in Banff who are from Newfoundland and Calgary and Edmonton and all over the place. So it's super fun to meet up with people afterwards, especially if you make friends with people from Europe, Asia, the States, all over. So just keep in touch with people, even if it's a follow on Instagram, and try and go back and forth with them every once in a while. If they can come visit you, it's super fun to show people around your hometown. So just like, again, be nice and try and keep in touch with friends. Also, you never know what opportunities are going to come up. You never know who's going to know someone who knows someone who knows someone. So networking is fun, right? Two, try and not like be, I don't know the word, I don't want to say like depressed, but trying to look back on your program with positive memories. I think there's always going to be things that happen that like taint your experience, or even if you had an absolutely amazing program and nothing went wrong, you're gonna come home and you're gonna be sad that you're home. And I totally get this because I've been there, and sometimes it's like literally hard for you to like look back on photos and videos and stuff because it just makes you sad because you miss it. But try to look back on your program fondly. That's also why I say keep good connections, because it gives you kind of like banter to have with people about the positives on the program. There's always something in the future. You never know what's to come. Disney is literally everywhere. I have friends that, you know, did a program and then worked somewhere else with a company, and now they work in like a full-time real job in Toronto in their like field of work with the company, and they'll work here for who knows how long. Cruise line's always an option. It's definitely a different can of worms. Believe me, I know, but cruise line's always an option. Sometimes there's guest service roles. If you live in Vancouver, Toronto, there's always stuff. Cruise Line Shoreside has a bunch of stuff in Toronto. Lucasfilm is based in Vancouver. You never know what's gonna come up. So I think always just look forward. You could always do a CRP. If you're still in school, there's another CEP. So try to think positively, which I know is like really, really hard to say when you're like distraught that you just came home from your dream, but you know, I feel like you know what I'm saying, right? This feels like slightly different lighting. I'm so sorry, but we have a minute left on my camera and I have one more point, so we're gonna see if we can fit it in here. This one is definitely more specific to me. This is something that I am passionate about, so maybe this isn't your vibe, so I'm really sorry if I included this and you don't care about this. This is helping out future applicants. If you are seeing this video, then you probably already know this because you probably found me because I was trying to help people. But I have always really cared about this, and I always wish there was more information when I was looking for things as an applicant. So being able to find things and be able to help people out is really important for me. This is why I was like so happy when I was able to become a trainer for the company, because it's something that I had always wanted to do. But yeah, if you see people asking questions, help them out. I don't see the point of gatekeeping. Like, I'm always happy for everyone, literally no matter what. Even if I don't like you, I'm gonna be happy for you if something good comes your way. So I just say always try to help people out. You never know. Karma comes back, right kids? Oh, I'm not gonna be able to fit in. I already talked for a minute. I'm gonna have to delete something. Stay here. I feel like the lighting has got worse and worse as this goes on. I promise my videos are not normally filmed in the dark, okay? This is not normal for me. Where did I even finish? What did I say in the last clip? I think the moral of my story through all these is to just be friendly and have an open mind and be nice to people. I think what I was saying is that, like, we don't gatekeep in this house. We want everyone to be happy. We want everyone to get in. If I've learned anything, it's that you helping someone else is not going to hinder your chances. I'm sure there is numbers that they have to follow, but no one really knows those numbers. So if they want to take you, they'll take you, and if they don't, then they don't. So you helping someone else, they're not going to like steal your spot. At least that's the way that I see it, you know? This was longer than I meant for it to be. It's gonna be like a 20-minute video, but that's okay. And I'm sorry I talked really, really fast. But like I said, if you've never seen me before, hi, welcome. If you made it this far, thanks. Feel free to subscribe. Like I said, we're in the middle of Vlogmas right now, so we have lots of random vlogs from Disney World and Disneyland and Disneyland Paris and cruises. All that is coming out now. So feel free to subscribe for that, and then we have lots and lots more Disney content coming next year, because I will be in the parks again, even more next year. So feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions, you can always leave them down below, or shoot me an email, or track me on Instagram and find me and shoot me a DM, all those things. Hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, there's a million links. I'll leave a few other creators. I'll leave my playlist, other videos like that in the description. And for people that are here for Vlogmas, I don't think you would still be watching this long in the video, but if you are for some reason, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you guys with a new vlog tomorrow. Bye!